Hi friends, my name is Amanda and I am your Tunisian Crochet, and I'm back for at least a little bit, and I have a lot to share with you. I have so much to share. I didn't think that it would all fit in one episode, and so I have a couple episodes planned for you over the next few weeks. So today we're going to be talking about finished objects for spring and summer. And the next episode, we're going to be doing our whips and everything that I'm working on and actively have like on my hooks and needles. And then the third episode that I have planned is going to be a Q&A with Corinne Johnson from the Knitting Lounge. She recently moved into a new shop, and so it's a really exciting time for my local yarn store community. And I thought I would just share a little bit about what's going on in Simi Valley at the Knitting Lounge. And so I would love for you to grab a project and a cup of something cozy. I have coffee over here, although it's lukewarm coffee. It's not piping hot coffee anymore. So that we can get into the finished objects that I have for you. I don't have all of them here, but I will show pictures, and I'll kind of get into that as to why I don't have everything here. And this is everything that I have finished in the month of, let's say, end of April, May, June, July, August, and September. Although I haven't finished an object since July. I didn't finish any finished objects in August. I have a lot of whips going on right now, but nothing finished. And I'm itching to get something finished, but one of the projects that I'm working on right now is like super big and complicated, which we'll cover in the next podcast. So let's dive deep into what I finished this spring and summer, heading into fall. And so here's the pile of everything we're going to talk about. The first object we're going to talk about is my Hearthside Raglan. My Hearthside Raglan is a top-down Tunisian crochet sweater done in the round by Lindsey from Just the Worsted. It was a test design for her, and here it is. So this was a fun, challenging make for me. The construction is Raglan construction done in Tunisian crochet in the round, top down. So round-ish, I would say, because the first part, this yoke, you actually do flat and then you do an invisible seam. My seam didn't end up being too invisible. As you can see, I can see that plain as day, so I don't know if that's a me problem, but I couldn't get that to be any more invisible than it was. But it's a top-down Tunisian crochet raglan. I had never done a sweater in the round in Tunisian crochet, so this was a nice challenge for me. You do the yoke first. This is a size, I think this was a size medium, and it's a nice, lovely textured sweater. The yarn that I used for this project is Polyura Fiber Merino DK in the colorway Rivas Bay. It's this gorgeous kind of very light, slightly variegated blue, and I did alternate skeins so that I could deal with any color changing or pooling. The nice thing about Tunisian crochet in the round is your return pass is a different skein of yarn than your forward pass, so you're already getting some mixing, but I did try to alternate as best as I could. I didn't also want to have too many balls of yarn on my project at once, but I did take a better look at like the yarn colors and pooling just to see what it was like ahead of time to like make sure I like choose the right skein of yarn. I'll put up pictures of like me in the sweater so you can see how it fits for my body. I will put my measurements below so that also you can kind of see generally about like what my bust size is, 42 to 43 inches, and generally what I look for. I don't tend to do oversized sweaters, although I'm kind of craving an oversized sweater right now. So that might be a cast on for later this fall or winter, is like an oversized sweater, but I digress. This is about finished objects. So once you join so once you're finished with like the top part of the yoke, you have to do some shaping and some short rows in the front and the back before you can seam in the round, and then you just kind of continue to work Tunisian crochet in the round. You pick up the sleeve very much like you would pick up in knitting, and so it was an easy join. I would definitely say that my one kind of just acknowledgement about this pattern is because it is super textured, you're never gonna get clean seams like in the round, because kind of, maybe you can kind of see it here, but the way Tunisian crochet is, like you always see kind of the step, like in knitting, I think, you know, when you change colors, you might have a jog. And so it's kind of the same way in Tunisian, at least for me. Like, I don't know what I could have done better to make that less of like a noticeable seam. And so I don't mind it so much because it's underneath, kind of under my arm, so you're never really going to see it, but it is noticeable and something you should know when you're looking at patterns in the round, especially for Tunisian crochet. I think it might have been an easier transition if the pattern wasn't as textured. So if this was like just straight Tunisian knit stitch, I think you could have had a more seamless kind of join, but I don't know because I haven't done it in the round, like knit stitch in the round, without any other stitches. So, and this was my first Tunisian sweater in the round. So that's kind of one of the notes that I've like made for this pattern. And then I was trying to see if I can find, so like, yeah, you see it at the body too, where kind of essentially your beginning of round is. You don't see it at the other side because you're just going all the way around, and it's just like is it like a helix? And so that's why you're seeing the seaming a little bit more. And I'm curious to see if like there's any Tunisian crochet designers that would have any tips on how to deal with that, because I'd love to know how I could deal with that better. But it's a cute textured pullover that fits me pretty snugly. Like, I didn't want to make a super oversized, so I think I actually made the size that corresponded to like a 40 to 42 inch bust. And so it has regular crochet detailing along the neckline, the body hem, and the arm cuffs. I still struggle with regular crochet ribbing. Like, it just doesn't look even to me, and I've looked at like Tony Lipsy's videos, and it just doesn't look clean to me. So I like the look of it. So if you look at that, and this is that like half double crochet slip stitch, single back loop only crochet slip stitch. You probably know what I'm talking about, but like, I just can't make my edges even to save my life. And then where I joined it here is just a little concocted. And so that is my Hearthside Raglan. I actually finished this in early June, she gave us such a huge period of time, which is a blessing, but also a curse because you tend to prioritize a lot of other projects first. So I did, and I spent the spring, the early spring and late winter doing a lot of other things and not this. I also discovered, and I hate sleeve island, especially once you get into small circumference in the round. I used a Tunisian crochet hook and a wire in between. So I had a hook on this side, a hook on this side, and a wire. And so, when you get to in the round, it really does pay to have a smaller hook, like just a double-ended Tunisian crochet hook instead of the wire in between. It just created more problems for me that I just didn't like. And so I tended to like not really want to do the sleeves, and the sleeves just even seem to take forever compared to the body itself. But I'm really looking forward to being able to wear this later this winter. I don't really have a blue sweater in my kind of wardrobe in terms of like a nice pullover in my wardrobe. So this is why I did this sweater in blue. And so this is the Hearthside Raglan by Lindsey from Just the Worsted. The next pattern that we're going to talk about is my Wild Sage #2 tank top from Ashley at Tiny Couch Crochet. This is actually the second tank top that I have shown you in this pattern. It was a test for Ashley. I actually did it in another yarn for the actual test period. And then I wanted to create a little bit of an oversized version for my second tank. It's a fingering weight Tunisian crochet tank top with such cute detailing. And here it is. And so the yarn that I use for this tank top is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the colorway Blue Tit. And I actually made size extra large, knowing that my gauge was slightly off, and it was still off even with this yarn. And so I made the size 2X. It comes out, I think, to about like 46 inches once it's flat, 45 or 46. And I'm a 42-inch bust, so I get that like tiny bit oversized, really drapey feel that I really wanted. I used just about 2.5 balls for this. So again, this is an amazing project that does not use a lot of yarn for Tunisian crochet, for crochet in general. So that's what I also really loved about this pattern. This pattern is going to be coming out in Ashley's book later this year, I believe in early December, and I'll have more information about Ashley's book. I actually tested 3 different patterns from the book: the Wild Sage tank, the Lupine tank, which was a DK tank top, and then I tested her cabled sweater, and I loved all 3 patterns. Ashley is a master at kind of just the details, especially like the edging details, whether that's around your neck, your armholes, or things like that. It's just, she just pays a lot of attention to increases, decreases, and making them look really, really polished and really good. And so it's a cute tank. I just wear it with a normal bra, and I don't care if my bra straps kind of show in this. It has gorgeous detailing. It's mostly simple stitch, but it has this lovely kind of detailing here on both sides of the tank top. It makes it look like ribbing, but it's not. And it's also in the center of the tank top as well. I don't have much more to say about this because I have done this before and talked to you all about it, but I really loved, I love the drape and the feel of it. My only complaint is not about the pattern, but the yarn is super splitty. That Knitting for Olive silk was really frustrating with a pointy crochet hook, which I, in general, use the kind of Temu, AliExpress. I think you can now get them on Amazon. Kind of metal Tunisian crochet hooks. I love how pointy they are, but with this yarn especially, I got a lot of splitting. I just think that's the makeup of this yarn. But I'm happy with the finished project. So like it was worth it, but it was a struggle going through it. So that is my second Wild Sage tank top. I think originally during the pattern, it was like a garden tank, but she changed it because there are a lot of garden tanks on Ravelry. So this is the Wild Sage tank by Ashley at Tiny Couch Crochet. Her book will come out later this year, and I will have more information on the podcast later this year once I know more. So the next pattern I actually made 3 of, but I only have 1 with me, but I will put up pictures of the other 2 so that you can kind of see the different versions. And I'll also explain why I made 3. So the next pattern we're going to talk about is the Serendipity Pullover, which is a Tunisian crochet tee by Serena at the Crafty Crocheteer on Instagram and Ravelry and all of that. This is the first time I have made a pattern from her, so I was really excited to try a new to me designer and just see her patterns, writing style, and if it gelled with me and that kind of a thing. So this is, and I have a little end that I didn't weave in there, but you know, we all have that. This is the Serendipity Pullover, and in this version, I made it holding 2 strands. It's a DK weight pattern, but I made it holding 2 strands of knitting for all of cotton merino together. And I did use a lot of yarn for that. I think I ended up close to like 7 or 8 balls for this. It uses a lot of yarn. The Tunisian knit stitch uses a lot of yarn. The Serendipity Pullover is a super beginner friendly top because you're not doing much in the way of like different types of stitches. You really only need to know how to do 2 stitches and understand how to increase or decrease as necessary based on what the directions tell you. I made 3 of these. So I made this pink one for myself, and it actually was the 3rd one that I made. I also made one in Malabrigo Arroyo. It's the brown one in the picture. For my friend Lori, using her yarn. We actually switched projects. So she took a knitting project and yarn for me to do the Salty Air Tea, and I made this for her. And then I also made a red one in the picture, and that I made out of Cirrus cotton, which is 100% Mako cotton in the colorway Crimson. And it was that one honestly is probably my favorite because that cotton is super lightweight because of the way the yarn is constructed. It's super lightweight. Like this is heavy cotton. Like this is really heavy. And I also cropped it because your girl was playing yard chicken and I didn't want to have to go buy more yarn, and I actually think they were out of this colorway. So I cropped it probably about 10 rows on my version compared to the other 2 versions. So the brown one was for my friend Lori. The red one was for a store sample at the Knitting Lounge in Simi Valley. Corinne has been amazing at letting me like make samples for Tunisian crochet just to get more people interested in Tunisian crochet and trying Tunisian crochet. That's my goal, right? As your Tunisian crochet bestie, is I want to spread the love of Tunisian crochet to everyone I meet. So, and I get a lot of just chat about it too, like when I'm out and about stitching. So super beginner friendly. I think I made all 3 of them within the span of 2 months. It doesn't take much, like it's just some shaping for your neckline and picking up sleeves. So this was the first time I had done sleeves not sewn on, which was really, really nice. Like really, really nice. because of the way this is constructed. So you do a front panel, a back panel, you seam them at the shoulders, then you pick up for your sleeves, and then you sew down like from the center of your sleeve at the end up here all the way down your body, with like your seam of choice, but I usually chose mattress seam. And so because it is relatively invisible, although it's not looking that way right now, I don't know maybe what I did wrong, but I digress. And so this is the back. This is a pretty wide V-necked t-shirt, even for me who likes that. And so if you decide to make this and you're a little bit concerned about a pretty wide V-neck, you might consider just altering and making adjustments when you do your decreases to not decrease quite maybe as heavy or as much, so that way you have kind of a little bit more girth in your shoulder here. Again, I have put pictures up, but you can see what it looks like on me in the photos to see what I mean when I talk about like the wide V-neck. So you do your front panel, your back panel, you pick up for sleeves, you sew it down, and then you finish things off with some just regular crochet detailing here. Honestly, I love this pattern. I loved making every single one of it. It was super mindless in that I could be doing other things, and I also didn't really need to count as much with this pattern because, you know, until you get to shaping, it's pretty easy. And because of where I'm at in my Tunisian crochet, I can count less than say someone who's on like day 30 or 40 of their Tunisian crochet journey. I'm on day like 1,000. And so, you know, I can read my stitching so I don't have to count as much, at least in the sections before decreasing and everything. And so that's why I really like this pattern. I almost was going to make another one, and I still might. I want to kind of make a stripey version. But I also kind of want to see if I can do some gauge math and make a fingering weight version, because the DK weight version, even because I've made 3, my version is definitely heavy because of the cotton merino just makes it super heavy with 2 strands together. But even the Arroyo was pretty heavy. The other cotton one, because of the way that cotton is constructed, that Mako cotton from Juniper Farms Cirrus, it was a lot lighter, but I'd love to get a drapey fingering weight version. So I'd like to see if maybe sometime in the future, maybe next year, if I did some gauge math, I could do a fingering weight version, and to see how many skeins of yarn it would take. It would probably take 3 or 4, but I just think that would be really, really, really nice. Serena, I don't know if you're listening, maybe an update with a fingering version or another pattern with a fingering version, I would definitely test that for you. I have some yarn I can think of off the top of my head that would be perfect for this. So that is the Serendipity pullover with some tails not woven in. I had woven in most of the tails, but that is the Serendipity pullover from Serena at the Crafty Crocheteer on Instagram and Ravelry and every place. So here we go. So the next project is actually not a Tunisian crochet project, surprise, surprise, but it is a knitting project, and it is one of my Make 9s. So I'm really excited for that because I have wanted to make this for a while now, because I wanted to try a tiny bit of lace work. So this is my ranunculus. This is a pattern by Midori Hirose. It's very, very popular. Everybody under the sun for several years now has been knitting this. And I had done knitting Raglan style yoke, circular yoke kind of stuff before, but I had never done any kind of lace work. I'd really structurally just done stockinette. And so other than maybe like a detailing, like a yarn over detailing for the increases in a raglan. So I just think this is a gorgeous pattern. I also love the kind of flexibility that you have to use kind of whatever yarn you want, and because it is such an open gauge. So for my version, I used 2 strands of fingering weight yarn. I used Malabrigo sock in the colorway Impressionist Sky, which is this gorgeous kind of like variegated blue. I had 2 skeins of this yarn. I only had 2 skeins of this yarn. And my gauge is definitely a little bit tight. This is a DK weight. So 2 strands together was a DK weight version. And right about kind of at the end of the yoke, I basically had realized that I was going to be playing yarn chicken. I thought I was gonna have enough yarn to make it like a little bit of a less cropped topped, but the pattern itself is actually pretty cropped. There's only like maybe 4 inches underneath your arm, so it's intended to be cropped. That is not necessarily the way I had intended it to be worn on me, but she's not afraid of a crop. And so I did play yarn chicken. So what I did was at that point, I had considered pulling it out and then just making it fingering weight instead of DK, but this was such a fun pattern that was super potato chippy, and that like I just wanted to get to the next row, the next pattern part, you know, oh, I get to like 2 things of knitting or 2 or 3 rows of knitting, and then I can quickly knock those out before I do the next section of lace, and oh, I got to get this lace section done before I get to the next thing. And so it was just really exciting, and it kept me engaged, which is sometimes hard for me, especially with not stockinette in the round. And so I had decided that I didn't want to like negate the work that I had done up here, and that I could always wear it with like over something if I felt a little uncomfortable with how cropped it was, wearing it with like a pants or shirt, or like wearing it with pants or a skirt or shorts or anything like that. I could wear it over a dress and it would be fine. And so because I tried to block this pretty big and it still didn't stretch out as much as I would have liked. And so I just decided kind of like gung-ho and keep going. But I did make the decision to do the sleeves first to make sure that I wouldn't run, like when I ran out of yarn here at the body, I was done with it. So I didn't do the sleeves to pattern. I just ended up doing I picked up and did a couple rows of stockinette, which you can kind of see right about here, kind of where that was. But I did a couple rounds of stockinette before I just did some normal kind of like ribbing. I usually think I did half twisted ribbing. I don't remember if the pattern called for that somewhere. I think the pattern called for that at the body, but because of the way the sleeves are done in the pattern, there are no sleeves. It's just kind of almost like, I don't remember if it was I-cord or if it's just kind of like almost not raw, but you know what I mean? Like just the sleeve cap essentially. But I just did a couple rows of stockinette before I did half twisted rib for each of the arm kind of ribbing, before then picking up for the body and doing the body until I ran out of yarn. I had tried to do the Italian bind off but it was, I don't know why I was just struggling so hardcore with it that I just did like a super stretchy bind off, which doesn't look as great, but you live and learn. This is definitely a pattern I would make again. I want to try it in a fingering weight, just to see the differences in the gauge between like what the US 10 looks like in a DK and then what it looks like in fingering, because I want to see like how open gauge it would be. I would also consider making another DK weight version, but not with fingering held double, but also maybe sizing up a needle to maybe like a US 11. I think that would look really cute. So a lot of different options for me moving forward. I was considering casting another one on right away because I had like that hype for it, but I had a lot on my plate, so I didn't, but I'm really happy with it, honestly, and it gives me kind of like the confidence to do another lace project for knitting. I don't have any plans right now, but I'm definitely thinking about like what that could be moving forward. So this is the Ranunculus by Midori Hirose. So the last few projects that I have, I'm just gonna put pictures up because I'm not gonna take them down, but I made 3 more of the Boho planters for some pothos planters that we have hanging in our guest bedroom. I made them varying heights so that there was a little bit more visual like height to the pot holders because of they're hung in like a cluster in our spare bedroom. And so like basically I made a long, a medium, and a short, and it was the same pattern that I've made multiple times and mentioned here on the channel. I made 2 or 3 or 4 I made like a few towards the end of the year last year in December for my husband, and so he wanted a few more for our guest room because we had 6 total planters, and so I knocked those out in like a day or 2, and just got those done. So that is everything that I have finished this spring or summer. I'm really looking forward to sharing with you my whips coming up next. And so I will look to get my whips recorded and up and out to you in the next week or 2. But definitely check out all of the information. I've linked all of the designs and everything I talked about today below in the details. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would really appreciate it if you would give this a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I am looking to continue to grow my channel. I had to take a break just for kind of like, I lost some mojo. I had some personal things happen. And so I had to take a little bit of a break. I just was not feeling getting in front of a camera. But I'm feeling a little bit better and ready to kind of talk to you again. I have some plans for the fall, both in the whip pile, which I'll share with you, but I'm also going to SoCal Fiber Festival, and I'm thinking about how I want to present it this year. I didn't go to Flock Fiber Festival this year, so I had a little bit of Flock FOMO, and I didn't really follow what was going on with Flock, so I don't really know what happened. I've seen a couple of vlogs here and there, but I didn't follow much about Flock, but I am going to Fiber Festival. Typically, I just record the whole thing and like as a walkthrough. I'm trying to decide if I still do that or if maybe I do 2 episodes. I do a walkthrough, which a lot of people do appreciate, especially if you are not there. And then maybe like a vlog style where it's more like my experience talking about it, that kind of a thing, instead of just centered on the booths and the vendors and things like that. So I'm still kind of toying with that to see what to do and to what to spend my energy on. I also really want to enjoy the weekend. It's the weekend that my friend Leah and it's like our girls' weekend. We go there, we hang out all day, we stitch, we chat, we do all that and have fun. And so like, I don't want to take away from that as well. So still thinking about all of that. I have some travel plans as well. So I will also be doing some like, what am I going to be packing things? So that is it for today's video. Thank you again so much, friends, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.